In this, the fourth video about the Oregon FFA state degree application, we're just going to spend this clip on page 8A and 8B. And in terms of all the pages of the application, this is the one that tends to get people in the most trouble just because they miss a step or don't have things that match in other places here. So we're just going to go through pretty easily how to correctly fill out page 8. And the first thing you see when you get to page 8, and again, we've gone in order where we started back on page 2, went through 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And a good thing to point out is this is for entrepreneurship. It says right there, entrepreneurship with the SAE. If you only have placement, you would skip entering anything in these categories here because it wouldn't apply to you if you don't have these things. But in this application we're doing, and many of us do, we have entrepreneurship project or multiple projects. So we're going to get those into this application. First thing, you get to page 8 and it says there's an error. You have an X missing, or there's 2 X's, or you put it in the wrong year. So we need to put an X in the cell above your last year of records. Well, for us, this is going to be 2013. We'll place an X. All of a sudden, all the angry words go away. Now, the easiest way to do this, and the most proper way, is to start in the first year and go through and fill out everything. And this is a balance sheet, so it's things that should be in our record book and we should have recorded. And so in going back to 2011, the first thing it asks for is current and operating income. Well, the first thing it says is closing current operating inventory. So what inventory did you have at the end of 2011 that would classify as current, things you'd use up in less than a year? And let's say for this one that we had 0, just to make that one easy. And it's fine that we began that year with 0. Going down, 2011, cash sales. This is the income section of your record book. What cash sales did you have? Well, we said we had a market hog. Let's say we sold that hog at a fair, and the total income for cash sales was $750. We look at these other categories. If we didn't have anything there, we will put in zeros. We just get again, going back to our record books, we put down expenses. Current operating inventory purchase. Well, we bought any inventory that year that would qualify. Yeah, we bought that market hog, and that is current inventory. It's a market animal for resale. And so we'll put that in. Surely we had some feed expenses. If we had cash versus non-cash, meaning that we worked it off, that's fine. But if you do list non-cash, we better see some ag labor exchange for the non-cash up here. So those two need to match up. If we were just paid cash for everything, let's say we had some other expenses and we didn't have any of the others, we'll put in zeros to show that we got that done. Now it's already calculated for us our net operating income for that year and what our total was. And then to the bottom, non-current. Capital transactions. What inventory do we have that was non-current, such as equipment? And let's say at the beginning of the year, it's right here. Notice the order they're in. The beginning of the year, say we start with 0, and that year we bought some equipment to show pigs that lasts from year to year. So we bought $50 worth. And at the end of that year, we had $50 worth. And did we sell any of that equipment? No, we didn't. So we had a 0. So now we've done the first year, and it's all based on our records. And you'll notice as soon as I put the 50 in here for closing, I'll delete it and put it back in. You'll see that automatically in 2012 we began with that quantity or that value. And then we will just go through 2012 and do it again. And this year, let's say we ended the year with some feed on hand that hadn't been spent, so we'll have that. We can't change this, I can't fix that, because I set that beginning is the same thing I closed with in 2011. So if that's wrong, that means that's wrong. Make it right. Under cash sales, we caught 2 hogs that year. Let's say we did a little bit better at the auction, we'll increase that. Again, we didn't have any there, but this time, let's say we worked for some feed. And so I exchanged ag labor. I have that in my records as doing that. When I get down to expenses, I bought 2 hogs that year, and my feed bill was higher. And well, let's say it wasn't all. Let's say I had $350 worth, but I only paid $200 in cash, and I did $150 for non-cash. I worked for it. Well, I put that right there, and now it's right there. Cash other expenses, say I had to buy some things and didn't have any non-cash. And so my expenses are done. Then I go ahead and finish my inventory. Did I buy any non-current capital or inventory that year? Let's say no, I didn't. And so I ended the year with that same $50 worth of materials. And then I just do that again for 2013. Closing current operating inventory. Now on this one, this is my final one. This is it right now. I recorded this in the state degree application, and it's saying closing current operating inventory. Well, we did pages 5, 6, and 7. Page 5 is that current operating inventory. And so if you listed items here and they have a value between pages 5 and page 6, because at the top one here is still current, whatever that total was better be the same total that's here that you ended the year with. In this case, we said we didn't list anything. We didn't list any harvesting growing crops. We didn't list any feed on hand. And so in this case, we're going to say we don't have anything on hand. We have 0 for that. And that's one of the things the record book checks for, is make sure, or the application checks for, is that you made these match. Cash sales, this last year we had a steer, so let's go ahead and list that at that amount. We didn't have any values there. We'll do the same thing. We bought a steer, and we'll go through and put in our feed expenses that would apply. We're just putting in some numbers, and where am I getting these numbers? These are all right out of my record book. And I ended the year, and I closing non-current inventory again. This is what did I end 2013 with? Well, I went and wrote that down on pages 6 and 7. And if I add up all these tables, I said I had $200 worth, and that was in equipment. So I need to make sure that matches. I didn't sell any. I must have bought $150 worth, or perhaps I bought something that appreciated. But we'll assume I purchased it. And that's it. That's my balance for page 8 in terms of my income statement that lists my current operating income, my expenses, and my non-current transactions and changes. And at the bottom, I have a total for how much I've had returned to capital, labor, and management. That's it for page 8. The key thing on this one is making sure that these numbers come from your completed and accurate FFA SAE record book.